Merry Christmas! No, not for us, like October 12th. Hello, Supreme subscribers and guests, and welcome back to another episode of the Reaper Review, a segment of the Quampier Screen Supreme podcast where I give you all my thoughts on the horror movies I indulge in, from the new to the underrated, to the overrated, to the unforgettable, to the I wish I could forget that. If you would like to see other Reaper reviews, just subscribe and check out my past ones, or even better, visit the podcast on Spotify and Apple Music. I promise you won't regret it. But today's movie has already been chosen for your pleasure. Today I will be giving you my thoughts on Terrifier 3. The third installment of a series with an already controversial standing among some viewers, catching criticism for its overuse of gore and its alleged misogyny. Terrifier 3 has made headlines, just like the last one, letting those waiting to watch know just how crazy this movie was going to be. They did the same for the second one. Terrifier 2 was like the first instance of a major blog that I saw on review sites, basically giving you warnings on what's to come before the movie hits theaters. Like, I know they've done it before, but this is my first time, like, I saw it. Like, Terrifier 2 gave warning of the brutal death involving, the scalping and the bleach with an old girl in her bedroom. Terrifier 3 told us about the brutal death involving a child within the first 10 minutes of the movie, which, by the way, understatement, just a bit. So going into the movie, my thoughts on the series are basically this. Terrifier is a movie guaranteed to give you the same thing every time since the beginning. Gore, brutality, and campiness, even a little story. It may not be the strongest story or a story that makes much sense to you at first. The first two definitely had that, like, down. First one was just a hell of an intro, I feel like. Not much of a story at all. Just an Art the Clown introduction. It was something, to get the girls hooked. Shock horror. Only characters, in my opinion, that, like, at least I felt were built to actually stick with you were Art and Victoria, which now makes sense considering they are, like, series regulars. Everyone else just was, like, there just to, help move along the plot. Not really much added to them. Then came the second movie that had the same elements, but shocked the hell out of me by actually having a story. For the first couple minutes, I expected, the same, no story, just people getting fucked up energy from the first movie. But no, they actually gave us a character with, like, depth. They gave a tragic past. They gave legacy magic, everything. Like, I was shocked. It didn't even feel like the movies were, like, in the same universe, or even, like, the same studio. It was definitely an upgrade from the first one for sure. Like, by giving the characters depth, I actually cared about what Art was doing. Like, I gave me someone actually, like, hope that they actually survived. Like, I wonder what made them not go in this direction in the first place. I assume maybe they didn't, weren't expecting a second one. I don't know. What I do know is by the end of Terrifier 2, I was very much so ready to have the continuation of the story of Sienna and Jonathan. Which brings us to the movie of the night, Terrifier 3. The synopsis of Terrifier 3 goes like this. After surviving Art the Clown's Halloween massacre, Sienna and her brother struggle to rebuild their shattered lives. As the holiday season approaches, they try to embrace the Christmas spirit and leave the horrors of the past behind. However, just when they think they're safe, Art returns, determined to turn their holiday cheer into a new nightmare. To get the long story short, I really enjoyed this movie. I feel like this added on to the incline of the Terrifier series. Let me get this out the way now. If you're familiar with the Terrifier series, you know what it gives. It's gore. If gore is not your thing, don't watch it. I don't understand people that watch film series though, they don't like the first two, and you dislike it for something you know it's going to be in every single movie, but people do it. I repeat, if you don't like gore, don't watch this. Watch here, they upped everything. They upped everything, including the gore. This movie is brutal, like brutal, real dark-sided. And I don't even mean like just the causes of the deaths, even though that's one of them. From the jump, Art has been wild. Like, he's always been crazy. I mean the way, like, the deaths and the reveals are set up. Like, there's only a whole scene where, like, the deaths are really set up with the intention to mentally, like, break Sienna. So in return, you actually feel the impact of that as well. Like, I want to get on the topic of, like the children involved in this movie. Because, there was, like, the whole, like I said, the headline, mentioning the child, and all that, what happens with that. This movie made it clear from the jump that nobody is safe. If you explore the horror genre, you may be aware when it comes to child characters, they're usually, like, off limits, pretty safe. Like, even in the case that they're not, like, off limits, like, the deaths are usually, like, maybe off screen, or, like, the deaths are established before, like, the movie even starts. Yeah, they only give us that courtesy one time. That opening child death, the murder was off screen, but they did show the aftermath. The death of the daughter was completely an off screen to the point where it's, like, it only implied that she was killed. These are things you expect in horror movies. So that's what I expected from the rest of the movie, right? What I didn't expect was seeing a colony of children blown the fuck up on screen with their intestines and limbs getting close-ups. My jaw dropped. Mind you, this was minutes into the movie. People around me, they couldn't believe what they just saw. At some point when the child was arriving the president, I saw that coming and bomb crossed my mind. But I thought it was going to be something more, toned down. I guess toned down as a Terrifier movie can be. Nope. Blew them the fuck up. And that was the point I knew they weren't playing any games with the rest of the series. Like, they were bumping up the savagery of these movies tenfold. No one is safe. Now, as far as the story, as I mentioned before, I was looking forward to hearing about Sienna and Jonathan again. I was getting the story continuation, so I was happy. I actually went in not reading what the movie was going to be about. I didn't even watch a full trailer if anything came out showing who was going to be in it. So I wasn't sure about who was going to be the cast in this movie. All I knew for sure was it was going to be Art and Victoria. So I was a little nervous. I was so nervous. I saw Sienna was back, so it kind of eased up a bit. But however, I didn't see Jonathan yet. And one thing I noticed with film series, one thing that they will do when they have a character that won't be returning, they have a tendency to replace them with another character. And usually it's a character that you have never heard of or never even made notice a reference to in previous films. But we're supposed to believe immediately that they have a major bond with the main character. So when Gabby pops up and they start doing that, my first thought is oh, Jonathan isn't coming back. I was probably to tell y'all how much that irked me. I was probably getting in my notes damn, they bring up my boy Jonathan. Even though later on I would enjoy, I did end up enjoying Gabby and Sienna's relationship. But still, I was where's Jonathan? I want Jonathan. Then later on he pops up, and all is well. And now I can fully enjoy the movie because now I have all my people, everyone here who I want to see. So I was going to just sit back. Speaking of that, I love Victoria as an added villain. That's something I really enjoyed. I love having her an added character alongside the film. When they did that scene where it looked like she killed herself, I thought they fumbled the bag, But again, no. They know what Quan wants. They know what the Supremes want. Victoria is now on the team as Art's demonically possessed partner in crime for this movie. Which, by the way, I don't know what happened with the little girl. I don't know if I missed the answer to that question. For some reason she's still mentioned, but we never see her, never get what happened to her, where she possibly is. Anyways, back to the story. The story just got stronger. This is an over 2-hour movie, and nothing was wasted in my opinion because the story was that good. The continuation of the lore didn't drag on, which I always worry about when I hear about 2-hour long movies. I'm my first thought is how much of that is absolutely nothing that I'm not going to take away from the movie, something that's not actually even going to impact the movie. There wasn't any of that here. If you watch for the story, you get your fill of that. If you watch for the gore kills, you definitely get that. The performance of the characters along with the story made this movie top tier for me. We got more Sienna's story with her father, which I feel is leading up to a deeper understanding of Art's existence. And I can't wait to get that. Actually speaking, I don't know where this story is going with Art's existence. There was a scene with a demon in hell and stuff. And I was trying to figure out is that Art or was that where it just showed how the sword was made? And the statue was holding his chain and everything. I just can't wait to see what the story behind that is. I feel we're gonna get more of that whole little image and what that was all about in the next film. So I'm excited to see that. So right now I just want to talk about some parts of the movie that I just need to speak on, and I just want to speak on. And I'm looking forward, and the things I'm looking forward to see other people's thoughts on as well. This isn't in order, so it hasn't been. So if it hasn't been obvious, spoiler alert. Okay, first one, Jonathan's dead. That hurt. That reveal to the skull being Jonathan, no shade. I was more content with it being Gabby. No shade. Love Gabby, but didn't love her enough to give up Jonathan. Speaking of, I didn't like how little interaction we got between Sienna and him. The whole thing didn't exactly make sense to me either. I understand Jonathan wants to move on. Sienna can't. Okay, they went through something traumatic. I can see that being a clash, right? But I feel they got closer. They already had a strained bond a little bit in the first one. They weren't that close, but they got closer by the end of it. So I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see them end this together, but they barely even have scenes together. Where they have maybe 2 or 3 scenes together. I still understand the choice. I don't understand the choice of having them so distant from each other in this movie. I understand the Sienna story, not Jonathan's, whatever, but so I want a little more moments with them leading up to his death. They could have still killed him, but damn, I just want a little bit more of that. It doesn't impact the story. It's still a great movie, but damn, give me what I want. The next part, the whole explanation of the whole demons and angels and hosts thing, the host stuff. I got it to an extent. Like, dead ass after that part, I just was watching and hope we got like a recap later. Like, I understand Art's deal, like, kinda. I took it as like Art was a host for a demon, or he is the demon. I know Victoria was a host for the demon, but I took it as like I took it like it was like a Chucky thing where it was like split souls, multiple hosts type shit. Then like Sienna's side of the story. Honestly, I have barely any fucking clue. I swear I was paying attention. I swear it. I dropped my phone. I was like, more. Oh yeah, more lore. I promise I was paying attention. Everything just came so fast. Like I got things jumping up a little bit. Like, okay, so Sienna was chosen to be a warrior to defeat Art. I got that. Now, was she chosen by angels? Was this like is that what it gave? Because that's what I got. I got like she was I got like she was chosen by angels to defeat Art, because Art was made like a demon that came from hell, but the person is like a host. So Art is like a human vessel that this demon is using, but so is Victoria. That's what I got. Am I wrong or am I right? I might be wrong, but either way, I still like the movie. Either way, I liked it. I'm good with either one. The next scene, the shower sex slasher scene, which I had to segue into a conversation about the Terrifier Christmas song. Loved it. Also, there was this other song that pops up that I had to Shazam like in the theater as the scene played, called it Right in Time. It was a scene before this one where Art pulls up to like the college. It was called God Rest You Scary Gentlemen. Adding that to the Christmas playlist, it was a bop. Anyways, shower sex. This is the most brutal killing of the entire movie. Podcast girl that got fucked up real bad. What made her death like solid for me was him removing those like goofy ass glasses and looking into like her eyes. Because if you remember in the scene prior, she talked about wanting to know so bad what Jonathan and Sienna felt, seeing a murderer's eyes that close as everything went down, right? So when he like takes off those glasses and like looks in her eyes, it's like, I just love the whole full circle, the little full circle moment right there. Like directing aimed at that. Like that was a good like little moment right there. Now as for old dude, he got fucked up. Like this man chainsawed his bougie in his piece. Like when that chainsaw went, credit card swiped his at and listen. Listen. That's why I love watching horror movies in theaters. I love watching it with other people. Because the theater reaction when that scene happened, the sounds of disgust, discomfort, the like rang through the theater. Bougie the chest just opened, like just ripped this man apart. And it's not a quick scene at all. Like they take their time with this. You can tell this is a death they were proud of. Like this is a death they were like, oh, we're doing our big one with this one. Like this is the one. This is the creme de la creme. We ate with this. Like it got the movie theme song and all that shit. Like, they sat back and were just proud of this one. Like, this was a brutal ass scene. I can't. Like, Art hasn't like chopped no one in half down the middle in a minute, and clearly he missed it. He missed doing it because he took his sweet time to get it done. The last thing I want to speak on is the final battle scene, where it basically solidified that Sienna is one of my favorite final girls ever. Like, she's on my, she at least might be my, at least top 5. Like, top 5 final girls. I'm gonna have to do an episode on that one day. But yeah, she's at least in my top 5 final girls. I think because every time I see a final girl that isn't afraid to throw hands, I immediately think of Sydney from Scream. I'm obsessed almost instantly. She did do this in the last movie, but she was whooping ass in this movie. Like she was fighting for her life in this movie. They keep making her more and more badass as these movies go on. Like since the second movie, she's just even more bad bitch energy, and I love that. Now she has a revenge/rescue story. I'm sad. I'm all for it. I'm excited to see her get her leg back. Grand final battle, and I'm team her. We gotta find Gabby and send Art back to hell, girl. Get your wings on. Could you imagine that's her final battle outfit? That's her final form type shit. Bitch gag. Back to that thing I saw chained up in the hell part. If that's Art, it would be so fucking cool to see him her battle that. See her fight that in her winged form. That would be cool as hell. I would love to see that. That would eat. Or if Art has another final form, that would be cool too. It feels like they're already going for us. I guess we consider sci-fi. I'm getting a sci-fi fantasy vibe from the Terrifier movies now. So they might as well just go all the way. Like, give us something extravagant, like high magic, like wizardry type shit. Like, I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't. You know, like, sci-fi may not be like my favorite thing when it comes to movies. I wouldn't be mad at it. I'd watch it still. And I'd still love it. Overall, it was an experience watching Terrifier 3. I'd watch it again, definitely. Like, Merry fucking Christmas is getting added to the rotation of Christmas films. Like, Home Alone Who? Like, I got what I needed and more. Reaper review approved 100%. I am looking forward to the fourth installment. I wonder if we're going back to Halloween. I didn't even mention it's definitely one of the best horror Christmas movies. I've seen a couple horror movies that were around Christmas, ill, but this one is fab. It's like, if we go back to Halloween, we're doing another Christmas. I don't know. Hell, give me Valentine's Day, 4th of July, Election Day, like shit, something. Election Day probably would be fab, though. I wouldn't mind Election Day. Terrifying movie. Bitch, could you imagine Terrifier, like Art the Clown at a Trump rally, like bitch, eat. Like it would be amazing. Like either way, I'm looking forward to the fourth Terrifier movie and the continuation of Sienna's story and seeing where she goes with that and seeing her get her revenge and get her lick back. Well, Supreme subscribers and guests, that has been this Reaper review of Terrifier 3, brought to you by the Quan Pierre Scream Supreme podcast. If you want more Quan Pierre Scream Supreme, follow the links in the description below. Podcast streaming on Spotify and Apple platforms. If you don't want to miss the next Reaper review, hit subscribe, sit back and wait. I don't watch every horror movie that comes out. I don't review every movie I watch. But when I do, you don't want to miss it. Comment any movies you'd like for me to review, and I just might get to it. Like I said, new, old, classic, good, bad. If you just want my thoughts, just comment and I'll give it a look. Thank you for tuning in. Go watch this movie if you have not. And hell, if you have, watch it again. It's worth it. Tag me in your post going and let them know the Scream Supreme sent you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.